cover plates, clothes, everything. It was just a
Cool.
thing that we did in 2004. That's how old the harmonica track is. I redid the keyboard track with the organ and some other keyboard parts and all. But that's an old one, man.
And that was, it's, how do you pronounce that? Selah?
Selah, yeah.
Yeah, Selah. Hey, Franklin. Getting people loading up here. Unfortunately, I just hit the record button, so it's recording to YouTube and webcasting live on YouTube, so that means I can't play anymore. They bark at me when I play anything that's recorded, which is, when we're discussing music, that's sort of a, we can play live, but as soon as I press something that shows up on, is recorded, they bark at me. Hey, Franklin. Can you hear us?
Hey, sure I can. Nice to see you finally.
Yeah. You got internet access now, huh?
I stepped into the 90s.
Yeah. Well, that's good. When you first joined, your internet connection was too slow, wasn't it?
It was horrible.
Yeah. So what changed? Did you move houses so you could join us better?
I just got a different provider, new internet provider.
Okay. We're just starting to get everyone to join in here today.
Oh, it's nice to see Todd Parrott.
Yeah, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
We might even have Mike Caldwell today. He said for sure next month, but he said maybe this month.
Cool.
That'd be great.
Hey, this is for Greg Jones. Something I just got in the mail. May not be of much interest to anyone else, but it's called Kiranite, and I want to get 2 combs made out of it, but I don't know if you can see the texture. It's
I can't. Todd, I don't see you right now. Where are you, bud? There you are.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay. So did you see the?
Here, whoever makes the most noise shows up is what's happening, so I'll just click on his face. We see him now.
It's
Oh,
hard.
wow.
It's hard to really until it's polished, but it's like a pearly. You know, they make knife handles and stuff out of it. But it looks really good when it's finished. So I'm going to try and get Tom to make me a special 20 comb, and I'll probably send one to Chris Reynolds and see if he'll make me a Gold Melody or something, or whatever. But
That's cool, man.
I've already got a pink comb from Gold Melody comb from Tom. So yeah.
Nice. Todd, I'm interested to know why you selected that particular material.
Well, just because of the way it looked on the finished product. I mean, I've got all these crazy colors anyway, so that was a color that I had wanted. I actually wanted yellow, but they didn't have yellow set. But I got the pink. I think it's been I don't know if it's been discontinued, but it's really hard to find certain colors of the stuff. There's only one place that carries it, a place called Eagle Grips, and
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just the finished product was just really nice looking. So.
Hey, Todd, how can you not want something called kryptonite, man? I mean.
Yeah. It'd have to be green. It would have to be green to be kryptonite. Like that.
Oh, well, all right. I don't know that much about it, but
yeah, that's
kryptonite right there, man. That's pretty cool, dude. That's really neat. That's,
yeah, it should make for a really nice comb. I tell you, these special 20 combs that Tom has started making, they're really cool, man.
You know what? I've got bunch of the Seidel versions. They're real nice. They really are. And I'm not really a comb guy. Tom and I are the best of friends, but I'll be the first to say I'm not a comb geek. I could care less, but I like the recessed ones he's making. They're nice. I mean, they really
are, man. They are.
I've got 20 or 15 of them on consignment. You know what I did? I put some of them on my own harps just until they sell, I mean, I can use it. Yeah, they're good.
I just like, the special 20 comb is probably the ugliest comb, like it's just real plain Jane. So this way, I like Golden Melodies. That's what I use. But I'm slowly putting together a set of these special 20s to use, just as an extra set, So.
I like the aluminum ones that I have on my Golden Melodies.
Oh, you have aluminum combs? Oh, yeah, those are nice.
Tom.
Yeah.
and they're super.
Hey, Todd, so guess you know who we're gonna give some harps to, man? As a keyboard guy, you'll like this. You like Booker T. Jones and the MGs? Green Onions?
I know Green Onions.
Yeah, him. You know, he wrote Born Under a Bad Sign, stuff like that. He's a good musician, but he's a great keyboard organ player. You know, Hammond organ type.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give him a couple harps.
Seidel, you mean?
Yeah, but I'm working it out.
That's unfortunate that they're Seidel, but
It is. It really is. It's.
I love giving. For those that don't know, I love giving Greg Jones a hard time.
And Greg always says,
hey, but look, this is probably the only time you see this. Look.
Hey.
It's because someone sent it to me, like on trade, you know. So power.
Right. Oh.
So that's actually, you know what? I know we're not talking about alternate tunings, but matter of fact, this power bender turns out to be very useful for like the old rugged cross and stuff like that. It does.
Yep.
You know, because you got that, you can bend the basically your 5 and 6, what the notes that are normally 5 and 6 below become draw notes, so you can bend those to get your flat
right
and then also your country tune note, you know, your
major 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, old rugged cross actually has some notes in there that just make it real hard to play, no matter how you do it, right?
So like on this one, you know, you can get the melody without having to. Otherwise, you'd have to put valves. You'd have to use a country tune harmonica with valves or something.
So did you guys see on The Voice when the guy sang the Old Rugged Cross that won?
I didn't see it.
Well, anyway, it was probably what caused him to win. He did a solo version with the Old Rugged Cross, and I got out my harp, and I found out the same thing that Todd just said. It's a little difficult to play, but unless I play it straight.
Yeah. Well, it actually has some hard notes to play straight too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, you still have to do an overblow. Unless you skip, you can skip over it, but and this harp is not really set up.
You almost have to harmonize with it instead of singing. Play them.
So you know what, Todd, I'm wanting to do something with trying to learn a little something, but I want to do it I want to get Tom to send me a. He's giving me a few pre-wars, but I'd like a pre-war like in D. So I just want to do something with using this guitar. I've got an old amp over there. I just think like a pre-war, you know, guitar pre-war, you know, Honer and a. I don't know. It just seems like it'd be kind of cool, you know.
Have you ever come across any of the pre-war bandmasters, the Seidel bandmasters? They say those.
Oh yeah, he sent a bunch to me. He got a bunch. He gave a bunch to Seidel every year when he sees them. He gives them. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's got a couple of those. And I had some. I think he's given me some of the old tremolos that they made. You know, those are not. You know are not tremolo. Yeah, tremolos. Yeah, trims.
I don't think I've even seen the bandmasters. I mean, I've seen them online, you know, on YouTube videos, but not in person. I'd like to see one.
I mean, they're nothing, you know. I mean, they're, you know, just vintage stuff. You know, if you like it, you know.
Yeah.
Back then, you know what they had to do back then. You know, harmonicas weren't really. They were made in different keys, but they cheated because they didn't make all the different reeds like we have now. So what they would do is on a lot of those harps, they would start them at different. You just start at a different place, and then you would only have to retune the reed 1 or 2, you know, spots. So I've got like a tremolo that's, let's just say in G, but it starts on I don't know, it starts on like a B, you know, and tries to go through some solo tune. Yeah, I mean, I do the same thing. Like I showed you, I kind of did the same thing on that high A. I showed you at Spa. I called it shift tuning. That's what I did, just so I could get into the stainless range. Kept it a standard tuning, but shifted it over, added a note, and chopped one on the other end, you know?
Well, I really, really, really want a 13-hole harp like Brendan Power cuts up and pieces together. Basically the same idea as the Steve Baker Special harmonica, but without the 14th hole, because you don't really need the 14th note and it's so big. The Steve Baker Special is so long you can't really. And the Seidel version of that is 12 holes, so you're missing your 10 blow. Your last note ends up being a 9 blow, so there's really not.
And the other problem with the Seidel version is holes 10, 11, and 12. They're still using literally communist day reeds, from back in the commie days. And they got these little tiny reeds. Well, I mean, they've slowly transitioned their reed slots and all that, but they had these little real fragile reeds that they were using on a lot of their harps. So about 8 years ago, 6 years ago, and they started transitioning. Well, on the 12, 10, 11, and 12 still have these real tiny fragile reeds, man, and guys blow them out like crazy. I mean, they really do. They're just real fragile. So what I tell guys that get the Solus 12 is, like, use those notes when you need them, for a song, but don't spend a whole lot of time up there, And they're real hard to change because they're real fragile. I mean, me, my blood runs Seidel, but, I mean, they'll tell you the same thing. I mean, Now, what I have been able to do is I found some chromatic reeds that just happen to fit, up there. So sometimes I can find a chromatic reed and put it in there, stainless, and that'll hold up better,
Well, right.
But so, hey, do you still have that octave you bought from me?
Somewhere, it's in a box somewhere with other harps, but yes, I do still have it. I wanted it for the cover plates for my 13-hole harp.
That's right. I should have just given you the covers. I didn't think about that. If you'd have waited, I'd have just given you the covers. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
I'll bring it back to Spa and give it back to you.
Yeah, if you want the covers, I'll give you covers. That was my Spa. That was those little sales like that. Those were my extra meal tickets.
Sure.
Todd.
Yes, sir.
So I have my favorite CD.
Oh, thanks, man.
And I even have my cat, so I can.
Yeah.
But some of the things we posted, I posted online shared what you had in the cover about which harp you used on each song. Two of the questions that came up we could address with this discussion is, what's a long slot D?
Okay.
Let's do that one first.
Oh, long slot D is just this is the harp. It was originally a C, and Joe Spires made this a while back. It's on a fancy comb, because I like to, crazy stuff like that. But it was a C, and he tuned the C up to a D, and it really doesn't sound much different. It's more of a feel. You still have the longer reeds like in a C. So basically, with Hohner, I think once you get to D flat, the reeds, the slots are shorter, and so with this long slot D, it just has a little bit more open feel, if that makes sense. It's just
does it make it more responsive?
No, not really. I mean, the reed work makes it more responsive, the custom work that he's done to it, but it's really more of the way it feels than anything else. And I didn't even know what a long slot D was until he told me. He said, "Do you want me to make you a long slot?" And he explained it, and I said, "Sure." He just said it really just had a different feel to it. He also made me a long slot D flat. I've got one of those, so it's a little tiny bit of difference maybe in the sound. I'd probably have to do like an A and B, recording of it.
I think I can explain what it is, but as the reeds get shorter, brass brass is definitely more pliable, so reeds you can go a lot shorter with brass than let's say with stainless, but they do get a little stiffer as reeds get shorter, so that is a problem. Reeds get a little stiffer as Hohner when they get into the higher range. So what you do is you maintain the pliability of a longer reed that has a little bit larger swing, on a bend, but is in the key that you want it in. So ordinarily, if you did it at a standard slide, it would be a little bit stiffer. It wouldn't swing quite as far, and your bends there'd be you'd have to be a little bit more precise. You couldn't really get emotive, as much emotion into your playing. So when they do the long slot, it just gives you the feel of a long slot in a higher range.
Yeah, he said it would feel different. So it does feel a little bit different, but
Well, almost all of us have extra C harmonicas, so it's wouldn't be too risky to dig one of my old ones out and give it a try.
No, not really. It's if you're going to retune the whole harp, it takes takes a little while to do that, but I use, and some people frown on them, but I use one of those engravers, micro engravers
That's
that,
what I use.
yeah, it has the, takes a couple batteries, and you just push the button and just buzz the, free end of the reed, and I got it at for $7 or $8 at Harbor Freight, and it takes a couple batteries, and that's it. That's what I use to tune. So I've made myself before. I've tuned like a G harmonica, a high G up to a high A flat, and then one time I took a G gold melody and tuned it down to a low F sharp, just because I wanted one in the gold melody. But
Cool. So the other question that came up about the CD was the use of the flat 7. Is that
okay,
right?
yeah, the
Flat
flat 7 draw tuning, yeah.
Yeah, go explain that, and if you want, even play something where you can show where it comes into play.
Oh, okay. Well, I use the 7. I retuned the 7 draw. I've got a whole set of harps like that, and well, let's see. Here's a regular D and then a retuned D. So the flat 7 draw just takes your 7 draw note that usually sounds like this. Okay, and it just, you tune that note down so it sounds like this. So it's really just a different flavoring that it gives you on the 7th draw note. You can do things that sound kind of chromatic sounding, or because what happens is when you retune the 7 draw note, then you can bend the 7 blow. And on a regular harp, a standard tuned harp, you can't really bend the 7 blow down a half step. You can put kind of a wah-wah sound on it, just like your 5 draw. Your 5 draw doesn't bend either. It'll do this, but it's not going to go down a half step. Neither will your 7 blow. Well, if you retune, you can bend the 7 blow note down a half step. And so if you take that down to a lower key, so let's say, oh, here's an A flat. That's low enough. Okay, so this one has the 7 tuned down also. You can blow bend 7 blow, and you can also do cool stuff by blowing the 7 and 8 blow together and bending the 7 and 8 blow together, and then drawing the 7 and 8 draw like this. So if you want to play something that that has a little bit more bite to it, then you can slide into the 7 draw. I don't really use it as a replacement for the 6 overblow. I'll still use the 6 overblow because it has a certain characteristic that I like. But if I just need that 7 draw note, the flat 7 draw note, which is your minor third or your blue third, whatever you want to call it, same note as your 3 draw half step bend. If you want that note up here in the top end of the harmonica and you just want to bounce off of it, then you can. You don't have to stop and worry about doing a 6 overblow. So, and even if you take overblow and overdrawing out of the equation, you can use your 7 blow note to do cool licks like this. So I started on 7 blow, and I bent it down, then I did a 7 draw. So that's all. It's just, I still use regular tuned harps in addition to the set that I have with the 7 draw tune. Now, it just depends on what it is. And also, another thing is if you play in 11th position, which sounds weird, it's really not a difficult position to play in. But if you play in 11th position, your root note is the 3 draw half step bend and the 7 draw retuned. So
That's
So it
great.
makes it a little easier to play in that position.
You know, I want
And minor stuff. If you do minor, second position, minor. So say you want to play, you got a harmonica with the 7 draw note tuned down on it, and you in the key of C, and you want to play in G minor. All you have to worry about then is just making sure you hit your 3 draw half step bend right on the nose. But then the top end of the harmonica sounds like a minor harmonica almost. So it has a lot of uses.
You know, there's one other use. You know, in Christian music, and like a lot of modern praise and worship, you have that Chris Tomlin sound.
Yeah.
You know the kind of the standard chord progression that he does for worship music.
Right.
You know, where you're in 12 position, you can get up there around hole 5 to 10. And if you tune down 7, there's really not a lot of wrong notes in there. So you can get around in there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah.
Because that 7 draw will kill you. If you're messing around in 12 position up there, you'll send everybody home from church. But if you retune that note, you can pretty well play whatever you want up there and be close to right, you know?
Right. So what I can't find at the moment is my C harmonica that's been tuned down. Wait a minute. No, here it is. Okay, so what Greg's saying is like, okay, so this is a C harp that has the 7 draw tuned down. And so if you play in 12th position, which is the easiest way to start in 12th position is to go 4 blow, 4 draw, 5 draw. The first 3 notes of Amazing Grace, which puts you in the key of F on a C harmonica. So, and so what Greg is saying is when you tune the 7 draw note down, if you were to think about a major scale in the key of F, 1, 2, 3, 4, your 4th note of the scale is that retuned 7 draw note, the note that's tuned down a half step. If you don't have that, you'd have to do a 6 overblow, and it just sounds like fingernails on chalkboard. If you're trying to play pretty, I don't use overblows for slow gospel tunes, for ballads, for things. If I'm trying to play pretty, it sounds pretty. I try to stay away from overblows on that stuff. I use overblowing for bluesy, soulful sounding music. So.
Cool. So let me do a quick slideshow here so that we can get, because positions, of course, is what we're focusing on. But if I get our announcements out of the way, it makes sure I won't forget to do them. So let me jump over here to my slideshow, which is not showing up. Let's see. It's running. It is. Now. There. All right. So this is, of course, the January meeting, our live meetings, and the agenda is real short and sweet. You like my picture there, Todd?
I like that. That's cool. Thank you.
And I want to briefly talk about the Facebook page and talk about what's happening next month, and then we jump right into talking about first versus positions, which is what we're, of course, dabbling in already. The Facebook page has been a good move. I think we definitely will drop the Google forum and do most of our postings and discussions here. I'll just remind you of 2 things. At the top of the page is a link called Files. Check that occasionally if you can't find something, because the way Facebook is, everything floats off the bottom after a week or 2 and you lose it. So if someone posts a good video or audio or a link, I'll be documenting that in the Files link. So check that occasionally. Also check the events link occasionally. So if you're trying to figure out when the next meeting is, the event will always be posted there. Right after this meeting, I'll post an invitation and an event to next month's meeting. The other thing is, go ahead and start. I'd love to see some of the, like when we have a focus like this on positions, I'd love for some of you to take some time and do a quick recording how you would explain it to people what positions is, or the benefit of first position for some songs and cross positions for others. In other words, let's try to start populating that Facebook page so people find something of value when they get there. The February meeting is going to feature Mike Caldwell. He's going to do a seminar for us, a discussion on accompaniment playing, and most of you who attended that at SPA know that it was a really valuable discussion that he led there, so I'm excited about that. Notice that it's not the normal third week. My wife had a counseling conference in Dallas and said that she didn't like to drive in Dallas, so I had to move it to a week later. So February 28th, it is a Saturday, and it'll be at 4:30. So that invitation will go out later this afternoon, so you can have it in your calendars. And the focus, or the challenge, since we're talking about accompaniment, is to go out and do some research on iTunes or on YouTube and find a song that you can share the link to with the rest of us, where you've found some accompaniment playing on a gospel song that you'd like to share. And the nature of how we post this on YouTube is we can't actually play the song as part of the meeting, but if you provide the link, come with the link, we can share that in the chat, and then people can, I'll post a list of those that people can go and check. So that's your challenge there. It's not so much a song, but do some research for us on accompaniment, and be prepared to discuss that. Oh, okay, and then we're ready for the discussion of positions here. All right, so that's all my announcements, and let's jump right back into looking at positions. Maybe we can start over a little bit and define the whole concept of positions. I've got a C harp, I play it, and I want to go to second position. What have I done? What's the big picture that we can help beginners start with? Anyone respond?
Well, one thing that's good is to Google. You can Google up a image of the circle of fifths, which has all of and that's where the position numbers come from. So if you're looking at the circle, you just go clockwise around the circle, and so C is first position. The next letter in the circle is G, so that's second position. The next letter is D, so that's third position. That's how we get the numbers. Fourth position would be A, fifth position is E. So that's, for the longest time, I didn't know why they called it first, second, third, fourth, fifth. I didn't even know what the circle of fifths was. And so, but that's a good thing too. I've noticed that some people print that out and have it in their harmonica case, just from seeing folks at SPA and other harmonica events. So that's a good thing. Just as a reference. And there used to be a little card too that Honer used to have that had at least 4 or 5 positions on it. It was just a little quick reference card. So.
Well, I've got something I can share here that's similar to that. So this actually shows, obviously, if you go down to the column for C, which we're think about most easily, it shows second position is G, third position is D, but across the top it also shows those weird names that guitar players use, Greg. So his positions, when I talk about a fourth position and an Aeolian mode, are that just 2 different ways of saying the same thing?
Todd may not concur with this, but I don't really think the modal designations up there is a correct use of those, because what it really means is that, my personal opinion, to make it simple for this, is that that's not really an effective use of modes up there. Do you agree, Todd, that they shouldn't put that up there?
I would tend to agree. I don't tend to think of it as Dorian and Mixolydian and Aeolian. I mean, some people. I mean, I've even heard like Jason Ritchie say that that's not really accurate to do that. But that gets into a little bit more theory. I understand some of the modes, but look, I played for almost 20 years and I didn't understand half of what I was doing. So I don't think it makes you a better player to understand that. I think understanding chords and stuff is probably more important.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would agree with you.
But the use of the modal terminology really assumes that when you're playing it, you're doing it in a certain section of the harp without any certain techniques, and so it just gets that should not be there in my opinion. But I think
the songs in G, then I can go back to a chart like I showed it and see. I can pick up a C harp and play it in second position, or or a C harp and play it in 12th position if the song's in F. I can figure out what harp to pick up. And
that part's great. Yeah.
That part's great. The modal designations, alien and all that needs to be crossed out, and I don't think it's theoretically even correct, to be honest with you, or necessary. Relevant. Yeah.
So the other side of choosing a cross position versus first position, so I'd like a discussion of that. Are there songs that you would prefer first position on versus a cross position, and why?
I think so. For one reason, a lot of music, especially hymns that follow the what we call the 1-4-5 chord progression, are reliant on the note that we call the major seventh, which is actually, when we play that, they call that the dominant note. And I don't really know exactly why they call it that, but I do believe that untrained musical ears can hear if a major seventh is played incorrectly or out of tune. So that note needs to be hit pretty consistently, and in a worship context where you want people to kind of sing along or empathize with the music and follow along, they're to know when that leading tone takes them back home. It is kind of what happens. And so I think the advantage of first position is that your major seventh is going to be perfectly in tune. But that's just kind of a keyboard perspective might be better. Explain what I'm trying to say, but I think I like first position for that stuff. That's my opinion.
Well, what I would say to add to that is a lot of gospel tunes, a lot of Christmas tunes also, and ballads and things like that. They have the major seventh note a lot. So, and by major seventh, we just mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on your harmonica in second position, this is a C harp. So if I'm playing in G cross harp, I don't have the major seventh note unless I overblow or unless I have a country tuned harmonica. So it sounds like this. And that's great for blues because we want to be able to do this. And the dog wants to get in my lap while I'm trying to demonstrate. She's been laying on the floor the whole time, but now she's starting to rip. But anyway, so
I thought you were a cat person.
No. But so some songs when you play in second position, unless you have a country tuned harmonica, if I don't have a country tuned harmonica, there are some gospel songs that I won't play any other way unless I have a country tuned harp in second position because I need that note. But then there are some hymns where first position actually may sound better. So, for example, Rock of Ages. Okay, Rock of Ages is a gospel song that you can play it in second position. You'd have to have a country tuned harp. Let me see if I've got it. I think I've got a country tuned one here. I just need to crack open this case. I'll show you what I mean.
So while you're looking, Todd, I think sometimes when I'm playing with a church praise band, which doesn't happen too often, but if there are certain songs where second position really sounds cool and the bit notes are okay, it's a heavy guitar going on, but when it's just the organ and the piano and it's a straight hymn, then all of a sudden those effects to do with bit notes, etc., sound out of place, whereas it wouldn't with first position. Does that make sense?
You say some of the bend notes sound out of place?
Well, I'm saying that the style of the music impacts what you would want to choose, the arrangement of the music.
Yes. I mean, if it's something like I Surrender All, or I Surrender All, or Just As I Am, songs like that, I think sound better in first. But if we look at Rock of Ages. Okay, in second position. Let the water. But I'm having to play this. This is an A harmonica country tune, and it's already up in like the 6-7 draw area. That's kind of high.
Right.
You know, so if I play that song in first position, I'm just going to use the C, okay? And again, to play it in second position, you'd have to have a country tune harmonica to get that note. Overblowing just would not. You could do it. You could say, but it sounds terrible. So I mean, and I like overblowing, but I don't do it in this context. So if you move the song to first position, this is how it sounds. And then when it goes to the 5 chord, let the water. So right there, even though we're playing in first position, that part of the song uses that G chord. So you can still put the soulful, expressive harmonica sound that people like to hear. And then another thing you can do in first position, and I did this on I Need Thee Every Hour, which is the song with the crickets on the CD. And that is when you play in first position, you can use a type of tongue blocking where you play 3 holes, but you block the center hole with your tongue, and you play the 2 intervals on the side. And Charlie McCoy did this, Mike Caldwell does it, Buddy Green does it. But it's so. For example, even if we take on Rock of Ages, you can do it in certain places like this. Let's see. You know, you can not. That's not probably the best example for that technique. A good example for this type of technique would be "Come Thou Fount." Now watch this. Now right here, da 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 da, I have to play the 5 and the 6 draw together, and then I go back to my split. So where I'm starting is, so I'm playing 5 blow and 3 blow, and so I'm blocking the 4 blow in the middle. So when I learned to do this, I blocked all the notes with my fingers like this. And this was after many years that I started doing this. For the longest time, I heard Buddy Green do this. I thought he was just playing 2 harmonicas. I thought he overdubbed the second harmonica. And he was like, "Oh no, it's just a tongue split thing." And so he showed me this. And so I learned it like this, and I would get 3, 4, and 5, and I'd stick my tongue in 4, and I felt like a beginner all over again. But then you can move down, and you can do 2 and 4 draw, 2 and 4 blow. So if you're brand new at this, Mary Had a Little Lamb, okay, that's just a good practice song. We all play. It's one of the first things when you get the little paper inside the harmonica. It tells you how to play that. Well, you can play that whole song with the tongue split thing.
So, Todd?
Yeah.
First of all, a quick announcement. If you're not talking, go ahead and mute your mic. We're getting the sound coming back through some of your speakers. That goes away when you wear earphones, but when you don't, sometimes it circles back. So when you're doing this split technique, which I love the sound of it, normally you would be in first position?
Oh, first position, because that's where you have the most, well, you know, on the harmonica, you have a C chord all the way up. So you can do the tongue split thing all the way up the harmonica. And you can do it in the key of G too. On the draw notes, it gets a little weird when you get up to like 5 and 6 area. So like on "Come Thou Fount," you can't play the whole song that way. So on one part of it, I go from playing like this, and then I just play my 5 and 6 draw, 5 and 6. Well, then I go back to the split. So I'll show you where it is. I flubbed it up there at the end, but you heard the 5 and the 6, draw.
Yeah, that's what I've observed too. Is when I'm doing that, occasionally I have to go back to a single note, especially when you get down to hole 4 and down in there, you have to switch off of doing the split. But it actually sounds okay to do that. It doesn't, it's not that disruptive to change it back and forth. I know Buddy Green does that a lot.
Exactly. It just, it's so you can play the melody single note, and then in a couple places put in the little accents like that, then go back to single note, and it just, so like on "I Need Thee Every Hour," on "I Need Thee Every Hour," I went back and forth between single note playing and the intervals like that, because number one, you can't do it everywhere. Sometimes it doesn't work. So, but it's just a really nice way, especially for these gospel tunes. I've even got up before in church and just played a cappella like that. Is it a cappella if you're playing an instrument? No a cappella, but you know what I mean. No music. Just play harmonica, and people love it. It just really for certain tunes that works well. And so what I would do, if there was a particular gospel tune that I wanted to play. Let's say you had a list of hymns, I just go through and I'll try them in second position and first position. Very seldom do I play them in, something like third or 12th. It's usually first or second with the gospel stuff.
So,
I like country tunes.
One of the reasons we go to cross positions is we can be a little more expressive when we're doing draw notes than when we do blow notes. So there's more draw notes, and of course occasionally, bending into a note is possible when you're doing cross. We had asked people for this meeting that wanted to play a piece of a melody both in first and second. That might be something we'll jump to now, just to get some other people involved here. So if you came prepared to do that, unmute and play us an example of a melody that both in first and in a cross position. Any volunteers? Total silence.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah, Todd, you gonna do it? Hey, Keith, can you hear me?
I hear you. Go ahead, Greg.
All right. All right, that was second position, and I just picked that on the fly, and that, of course, I had to use overblows on that. So this will go to be first position. I guess I should have done first position first, right?
No, it doesn't matter.
My harp came off here. Sorry about that, guys. And so, see, that note's probably wrong there, right, Todd? So, just a part of it. But as you can see, even in first position, I had to use that 6 overblow once, I believe.
Well,
and I think I probably missed a couple notes on the first position side of it.
it sounded good, and it's worth saying that just because there's a bent note in a melody when you're playing it doesn't mean you're in a cross position, because sometimes in first position you need to pick up, especially when you get down to like hole 4, you need to pick up a bent note. Let me go ahead and try one. I was playing around with What a Friend We Have in Jesus. So let's try that. First I'll do it in second position. So forth. And I love the expressiveness that I can put in there when I'm doing second position down there on like hole 1 through 5, and that works well all the way through the rest of the song. Now that was starting on I believe a 4 draw, and it finishes on 2 draw. So I'm going to jump to the conclusion that I'm doing that in G if I'm on a C harp, which I'm not. So let me go ahead to straight now. And I believe I'm going to start on 6 blow. I got a bit stuck note. You see, I have 1 bent note in there, even though I'm in first position. So, you know, there's one's not right or one's not wrong. Again, it may depend on the arrangement who I'm playing with. If I'm playing a solo and with the guitar backup, I think I'd go across immediately. But if I were playing along with, you know, the choir singing and the piano's going and the organ's playing, and it's not an upbeat song, I probably would jump to first as an accompaniment. So I'm not going to stand out quite so much. And then if he throws it to me as a lead to do a verse, then I might pick up a harp and do it in second position. So that's my version. Who's next? Or any comments on that?
Good stuff.
I think someone said they had Amazing. Was it Franklin that said Amazing Grace? You had Amazing Grace in first and second.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just waiting to be ready to unmute before I did anything.
Let's do it. Yeah, we're hearing you fine.
Okay, sorry. I was afraid I was causing some echo before because I don't have earphones on.
It can happen.
All right. I'll start out with, this is an A harp. I'll start with first position. Might not sound like it, and then I'll go to second.
Good stuff.
Very good.
Very good. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
So, Dave, how about you?
Let's see, wait. I'm trying to unmute my mic.
You're unmuted. We hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. I might as well share what I found out, even though I don't know if I'm going to play it that well. But I just picked "I Am a Pilgrim," and the so that sounds good in cross harp, but the problem, at least the way I played in cross, is you have to hang on the pilgrim word. You're hanging on the three double bend for an awful long time. I mean, you just have to hang on that. And so I thought, well, that would be good. Let's see how that is in first. And first position, it was problematic too, because even though you don't have to hang on that note, the melody does throw that note in. I forget exactly where, but it throws it in a rather inconvenient place if you're trying to, sound good. And so I said, well, okay, that's if you're trying to play first position down on the bottom half of the harp. So I said, well, I'll move up to the higher parts because you don't have to bend the note to get that note up there. Then the problem is getting a harp that doesn't sound too screechy. So I did everything. I got my lowest harp, which is a D. I got a low D, so I was going to do it in D. And what I found out, whether I can play it well in the first position or not, is it actually worked out because you could get expressive bends in there from the blow bends when you move it up there, up to the higher octave. So I mean, let's see. Cross harp is. So that's pretty good. But again, you have to hang on that three double bend for an awful long time. And so on a low D in first position, I'm starting out on a sixth blow. Let's see how this goes. I didn't practice this very much, but all right, kind of messed up the end, but you get the point.
It sounds great, and you also pointed out another reason to choose between first and second. If the band's in a F and you don't have a low tuned harp, you can grab a B flat and play it in second position and be down to where you're not going to be screeching as much as if you would have with your F. So that's another good point.
That is a consideration, I guess, between the positions. The heartbeat, how high or low the harp would end up being. I don't know if anybody mentioned that yet, so that's.
Yeah. No, and that is a very good point to bring up. I'm glad you brought up low tuned harps, because a lot of the melodies, just like a minute ago, I was playing something on an A, and I was up in like the 7 draw area, and so a lot of times like a low F. Low D, a lot of the not just gospel tunes, but the Christmas songs too, a lot of them are in that range. So then, by the way, I did notice, I don't know if it's a key that people would use, but Hohner has the big river harp in the low F sharp, which I use a lot. I think that's a good sounding key for gospel tunes. They have them for $11.25 on their. If you go to HohnerShop.com and click on the menu on the left where it says harmonicas and then diatonic, you'll see it there. That's the only key they have, but for $11, that might be something good to buy and mess around with for some of these gospel tunes. You could probably even get a couple of them at that price and make one country tune. And I use the low F sharp for a lot of Christmas tunes and gospel tunes as well, because I like the sound of C sharp or D flat, just a good soulful sounding key.
Yeah, I had Todd set up a G harp for me, the country tune, and it's one of my favorites just to sit and pick out gospel tunes on. All right, who's next here? Don't be bashful.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And how's the volume? This is the first time I've done this. How is it? High, low?
Well, your
Can you hear me
audio
okay?
level is just fine. We're hearing a little bit of echo. Next time you might put some earbuds on, and that'll eliminate that. But it's not bad. Go ahead and
You
play
know
for
what
us.
I'm doing? I've got some reverb on. Okay, this is a low E that I bought from Greg at Spa. And so this is How Great Thou Art, first position, low E. And then I'll play it on an A in second position on a Golden Melody. All right, that I've modified too. Now here's on an A in second position. It's got a blue moon comb on it, and I do adjust them pretty well. So I will do the 5 overflow on it.
Great.
Good
Great.
stuff.
And now that I know what the reverb is, the echo is for, I like it on the harp.
Is it
So
a little
keep doing
too
that.
much though?
I like the reverb.
It's a hall reverb. It may be too much.
It sounds real good when you're playing the harp.
Yeah, the vocal is not as good. I run my stuff through GarageBand, so I pick a channel that has reverb on it when I want to, and then I can flip it on and off easy. But
I'll have to
it's
figure out
funny,
how to do
sometimes
that.
when I'm doing playing at church, I'll try to get the minister of music to let me put some reverb on the harp, but he's always resistant for some reason. I always think it sounds cooler, but he's resistant to do that. That was great. Great example.
Okay, I just
Anyone
figured out
else
I
wanna play?
bypassed it, so it's okay.
Yeah,
No,
now,
that's perfect. That's
now
perfect.
your vocal is clear.
All
Perfect.
right, I bypassed. Okay, I'm gonna mute.
Good. All right. Anybody else? I'm sure we can talk Todd into it.
Yeah, I can do one. Well, I kind of already demonstrated one earlier. I can do that one again.
Do
I guess.
another one. Or do that.
I forget what it was now. Rock of Ages, I think it was. But I would use a country tune on that. So I'm just this is an A. That's second position A, country tuning, and then if I did that, I'll do it on an E, I guess. I don't know. I've got a low E. I don't know if it. I'll do it on this low E. First position. No, actually, I take it back. I would start down here. Beautiful. That's probably a little bit too low, but I used that low E because I played the other one in E on the A harmonica, so I was trying to stay in the same key. But that, so there on first position, I was able to do the tongue split thing that we were talking
I
about.
love it.
Let me hide my nothing.
So Todd, I just happen to have Buddy Green's discussion on that queued up. Let me play that.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So let's see, we were doing Rock of Ages. Yeah. So it works, but it's high. It's way up there. So, you know, when I think about that song, it's one of my favorite hymns. Rock of Ages, cleft for me. Let me hide myself in thee. I mean, it's just one of these cries for mercy. So I don't know, the piercing sound of that upper register doesn't really help convey the pathos of this song. So one day I was messing around with straight harp. Wow. When I did that, I was just like, man, that's what I'm looking for.
As you can tell, I'm a Buddy Green fan.
I thought we all were.
It's Keith. I don't hear you, Keith. I don't.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, you're back. You're live, man. You're
Yeah,
back
I
live.
selected the GarageBand track that didn't have my voice in it. So, but anyway, that he was making a point that you also made is when you're trying to decide what mode to play in, or straight or second, the best thing to do is just play it until you find which one works for a given song. Because it is true that not every song works well in every key, and you need to try it and see. And just like Dave said, there may be a note that you have to hold on, which distracts from the song, so you try another mode.
Yeah, he's. I guess what I meant, like, me being a big fan, is he has shown. I've heard him say these things, and he's just a big influence. So it's funny that we would use the same Rock of Ages. It's probably because I've heard him say it. It was probably just in the back of my mind.
And that was the recording from the spa session
Yeah,
that you and I were both in.
yeah, he's great.
On the first meeting that we had, we played quite a bit from that workshop, Todd. So I have all those sitting there, and I broke it all up into tracks by song, so I can bring it up when we're discussing a song like that.
That's
all right. Anyone else? Or anyone who's already played want to do another example? All right.
Try one.
Good. Who was that?
You got Randy.
There we are. There you are, Randy.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay. This is a song called There's a Fountain Free, and I'm going to start out trying to play it in second position. Yeah, I'm trying to chord a little
Excellent.
bit.
Oh, that was great. Good job. Good job.
Thanks.
All right. We got about 5 minutes left before the appointed time to stop. Anybody else want to try a version? Betty, come on now. You've been to the Hoot meeting. You should have come back all fired up with a tune. She's probably in the kitchen. One of the ones that the second one that I played around with, and one of my favorite tunes. Maybe it's because I was a child of the '70s, but oh, there she is. You have a tune?
I am really following along with what you were talking about today, and some parts of it I understand, and some parts I have not assimilated yet. Second position sounds like it's more in the middle of the harmonica. Cross sounds, I'm not sure what we're talking about when we say cross. Like,
Yeah, let's define the terminology.
Where are we starting on the harmonica? It would be helpful to me to know what key of harmonica you're using, what note you're going to start on, and then I think I would connect with maybe second position and cross a little bit better as far as my thinking of where do I start on the harmonica for those positions. Am I making myself clear?
Yeah, terminology is and we use these words without explaining them, and it may not mean the same to all of us. To me, first position is when I'm just playing the C harp and I play it in the key of C and I'm playing melody, and quite often it's going to be from hole 4 up.
Yes. Okay, I got
you are correct that some of the time when you're playing cross, you're able to use the bottom of the harp, and if you play straight, you're up higher. Cross, I'm using the word cross to mean everything that's not first position or melody. So second position, third position, 12th position, all those. And you also alluded to the fact that it has to do with the dominant note of the song. So when you finish up a song, it's normally you're going to be finishing up on the key that you're playing in. So if you finish up on a 2-draw on a C harp, you're probably in cross and you're playing in the key of G. So yes, it is helpful to know where. And I wrote that down for the song that I played. I wrote down the note that I finished in straight and the note that I finished on in cross, so I could know what key I was talking about.
Okay. Is there a place where we can download what the little different keys and the different?
I'll post that on the website in the file section. If you'll click on files sometime tonight, I'll have the one that I showed a while ago will be up there.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think Todd has a good idea for people that have been playing straight position, or straight is another way of saying first position. You've been playing that all your life and you're interested in starting second. Pick a song like Mary Had a Little Lamb. And let's see, Todd, if you were going to do that, where would you start in first position and where would you start in second position?
On Mary Had a Little Lamb?
Yeah.
Mary Had a Little Lamb would start right around 5 below. But what I was doing, instead of just, okay, if you wanted to play that, make it sound more like a campfire or make it sound prettier, that's where I was using this technique with my tongue, and I'm blocking, playing 3 notes, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm blocking hole 4. And I just keep that same position. Now, when I started doing this, it didn't happen overnight, and for a long time, I would have to, scrunch up like, and try to get, to get the feel of it. But once I got the feel of it, then you can just lock. And you can even put little bends in there, like its fleece was white as snow. The harp will kind of even bend with you like that. So that's something to play around with because you
Okay,
can
that
use
was
that.
position.
Oh, a second position? You know, there's certainly more. So, da, 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 da. You can do
So you
that.
started on 3 draw for second position?
Yeah,
What?
on three draw. And another
Okay.
point about this
I'm
too.
trying to get the when you talk about the different positions, where on the harmonica are we attacking that particular tune?
Well,
And
okay.
I'm still a little confused.
Well, here's the thing with first is a lot of times in first position you have to bend your 3 draw. You start usually on first position around hole 4. You know, that's the root.
Yeah.
That's right in the middle of the harmonica.
And
But some of these
usually where
melodies. I'm sorry.
that's usually where I play. I mean, if I'm going to play a song, then it's usually around that. So that's first position.
That's first position, and then second position would be usually starting on 2 draw. That's your root note. But what happens with some of these melodies in first position, you have to put a whole step bend on the 3 draw note to be able to play the melody down there. So like Amazing Grace, if you play Amazing Grace on a C harmonica in the key of C, and I go, I'm starting on 3 blow. Right here, I have to go, and I have to bend the 3 draw down a whole step to get that missing note. Or you can move up and start up higher on the harmonica.
Which would be position what?
Still in first position, but you could start on so I'm still in C on a C harp. But instead of starting on 3 blow, I'm going to start on I'm starting on a 6 blow. But see, it's so high in this key, so I probably would not play Amazing Grace in first position up high because it's screechy, and I wouldn't play it down here in first position because of that note right there. I happen to bend that note. I would probably just play it in second position in G, and I would start on 1 draw. It just kind of that particular song just to me fits a little bit better in second.
Okay.
So, and then like Keith played "What a Friend We Have in Jesus," and he played it on an A. You can play it there. And that started on 4 draw. This is second position on an A golden melody. Or I can start up and play it. I can start on 8 draw. Country tune. That's a country tuned harp, but I probably would not play it up high like that. It's too high. It sounds good. So what I would probably do is get a harp even lower than A, maybe like a low F or something.
So Betty suggested the possibility of a cheat sheet that says the note that I'm going to resolve to, I can have a little chart that says what position I'm in. Here's at the bottom of mine, I started playing with that, but I don't know if this is correct. But you can see under the first position column, a 1 blow is a safe place to finish up, but it's also true that a 4 blow, in other words, you'd have to look for equivalent notes. Whereas under the second position column, I said 2 draw is a good place to resolve on for a song And then in third position, 1 draw or 4 draw. So I think she's got a point that if we made a little chart, it would help people start picking tunes out in some of these other positions.
Yeah, I've just been relying on my on the song itself, and then the sound that I want to create with that song, and what is most pleasing to the ear, and not really knowing whether I'm playing first, second position, or whatever, but letting the sound itself guide me.
Well, and it's also
So,
true. A lot of people are playing haven't learned how to bend notes yet, and that's the way you start. You start playing first position, and that's something we'll cover another time, is how to bend notes. But you have to get to the point that you can bend those comfortably. And the best thing to do is what we just said: is pick a tune and purposely play it over and over until you start getting those notes. You play them by ear, just like you currently do first position. You get to where you play second position by ear, and it took me a while to do that. And in fact, Greg worked forever. What was the song we were trying to learn? Jesus Paid It All. And I was at his house, and I just played that over and over, and I could not, by ear, find the notes. And that was about a year ago, probably, Greg. And now, I've done it. I've picked out so many tunes in second position that I play it by ear the same way I do first position. And now I can play almost anything in second position if I know the melody in my head. So, those are just some tips.
I have a suggestion on positions. I don't know if this would help Betty, but first position. I mean, if you try to play do re mi, do re mi fa sol la ti do, just that scale. If you start on 1 blow, you're going to be pulling it out, and that's first position. If you start the do, the first note, on 2 draw, that's second position. And that might be a way to get a feel for the different positions and where the notes land out. And you could take that on and on for the other positions, but you could just start out with first and second position that way. And it might actually give you a feel for where the notes in a certain, whether you're playing in first or second, where the notes lie for a given tune. If you get a feel of where the do re mi lands when you start it on the 1 blow versus on the 2 draw, because the 1 blow is going to be first and the 2 draw is going to be second position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, planes, that's another way of saying learn the scales and the different positions. And doing it in first and second is not too hard once you start trying to jump to some of the other positions. I know, I heard Howard Levy do the 12th position, Amazing Grace. Well, I don't even know where I'd start to do that. So maybe writing down a chart that showed the scales on the C harp for each position would also be another helpmate.
That's true, and all great suggestions. And a lot of times, I just use my ears too, as far as like what section of that, because you can usually play whether you're in first position or second position, you can play it in 2 different octaves. So it really just depends on how it sounds. And so sometimes I really like these lower harps, for if I am going to have to play it in the higher part of the harmonica, the low D and the low F and those keys like that are pretty useful. And I use those low keys a lot on gospel tunes, like some of the ones that we've even played on here. That how great thou art. That was a really beautiful song, by the way. The vibrato, and that was great. So I enjoyed that.
Thanks, Todd.
So we're
about more harmonicas to buy. The country tune and the minors.
Well, you can get Greg to make you one country tune so you can start playing that way. That's
okay.
what I did. So we're about 8 minutes over here, so I want to finish up. First of all, does anyone have any announcements that you'd like to make for the entire group? Next, on February the 28th is accompaniment, and so I don't know if the challenge I gave you made any sense, but to do a little, find some songs that you think are great accompaniment examples, and that means that the person playing the harmonica will not necessarily be playing the melody. Someone will be singing, and they'll come in with fills. That's what I mean by accompaniment. So find some examples that you can share by giving us a link or tell us something to search for on iTunes. I'll post some directions on how to get links out of iTunes. That's actually possible at the album level, at least. So that ought to be a fun meeting to do. And Todd, I was just going to give you just a moment to talk about your new CD. How's it going? Is there something we can do to help you get even more of those out there and get the word out for you? What's going on with your new CD?
Oh, well, they're selling really well. Initially I sold quite a few of them, right out of the gate. And so now, there's a few orders coming in every day, but I think Facebook is probably the best place to share it. And I don't know if everybody here has heard it or knows much about it, but it has a lot of these hymns like I'll Fly Away, Jesus Hold My Hand, Unclouded Day, Amazing Grace. I Need Thee Every Hour was done with crickets, and that was done in first position with the crickets chirping in the background, and I used that technique. And I actually, on that I Need Thee Every Hour, I asked permission from Buddy Green, because that was really something he did. He didn't use crickets, but I told him what I wanted to do. I changed the timing, the arrangement of it a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure he was cool with that. And he said, "Sure, go ahead." So,
Good.
so anyway, but yeah, it's doing pretty well. So if you haven't got a copy of it, just stop by my website. Yes.
From the Hoot Club today meeting, they are really interested in having you to come to a Hoot meeting sometime. That would be awesome. So please let us know when you're going to be this direction.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that.
And Keith Mitchell, they are interested in you coming also.
Oh, I'm on the mailing list, and I'm watching for the perfect meeting. If Todd came, that would be the perfect meeting for me to drive down there.
Okay.
We did wind up with an overlap today with that meeting, and Betty was able to make it back, but we have at least one person who's attending wasn't able to come because of the overlap, so I'm sorry for that. All right, so I'll make the official. Everybody can keep talking as long as they want, but I'm going to stop the recording here. And this is the largest meeting we've had, and some of the best playing and the best sharing of knowledge. Todd, you make the meeting when you come. We just really appreciate it. If we get you here and Mike Caldwell, I'm just going to be like at the same time. I'll be talking and Kevin. Yeah. So, and congratulations on the CD, by the way. All of us are really proud of you because you're doing what all of us have a passion for, and we want you to be successful with it.
Thank you.